Hey guys, this is Shannon with Nearly Organic Noshing, and I thought I would show you how I am making these cute little rustic Christmas ornaments. I'm really wanting to go rustic on my tree. The kids are getting older and moving out, and they're going to be taking all their little kid ornaments with them for their own trees. And I just really love the rustic look. These would also make really great Christmas gifts if you wanted to give it to someone, but I'm making a lot of these for myself. Now, I recently did a Hobby Lobby and a Dollar Tree haul, and I will link those videos up in the corner so you can see prices for everything. But I hit the sales where everything was like 50% off and did this really inexpensive. Now, you can see that the balls are different sizes. These are Dollar Tree balls. These are Hobby Lobby balls, and honestly, they're just as good. And I think that Dollar Tree had some different sizes also. So I'll just kind of zoom in on some of these. I'm going to go back, and I think I may put some glitter to cover up some of the glue on top. I've seen where people do that to kind of look like snow. I just think it looks really cool. I just have some string coiled up at the bottom, so it kind of has a base to sit on. You could do that if you wanted to use these as decorations on a mantle. You could just coil up some of the jute cord and use it as a base so that the ball doesn't roll away. But this is the way I did this one. And then this one I kind of just shredded the string inside and added some holly and pine cones, and then this one has the moss and stuff, and I just think they look pretty cool, so I will show you how I made them. Okay, excuse my super fancy table that I have going on here. I'm just doing this in my living room, but the first thing I do is just cut some of the jute and make a ring, so that way when you're working on your ball it won't roll away and it can just sit still. Anything that's a circle will do. You could even take some of this that's in a circle and you can set it in that, but whatever, just something so it doesn't roll away. I found just that's a little bit easier to work with it. And the first one I'm going to show you is how to do this one. I just think that it looks very cool with kind of the vines of the red with the pine cones, like it's just kind of floating in there, but you can't get in there to glue it to the side. So what I found is you can take the branches like this, or you can take the stuff that's like this that's coiled. I'm going to use some of this that is coiled, and you can use any color. Like I said, I'm just doing more of a rustic theme, and so that's why I'm sticking with the reds and the browns. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take some hot glue, and I'm going to take pine cones. Now, whatever your opening is on your ornament, you need to make sure that your pine cones are small enough that are going to fit through there, because this one's a smaller one. This one, like over here, this one's a bigger opening, so larger pine cones will fit. So think about that before you start gluing up. And I'm just putting a little dab of hot glue on and then gluing it in between the berries on the vine. So, and you can put as many as you want on the vine. And I skip about every other section, so I'll skip this one and put one here, but give it a few seconds before you move on. And then I'll just keep doing that until I have the whole vine completely covered in pine cones. Okay, so I have all of these pine cones all glued onto here, if you can see that. And now I'm just going to take the top off the ornament, and I'm going to feed them into here, and they're going to bend to fit in there. And if a pine cone falls off, it's just not that big a deal. See if I change hands, if you can see a little better. And I really like this bendy stuff. It's just so forgiving. You can do so much with it. And I am not like a super artsy person. I really am not. I glued this one on backwards. I like changing the direction of the pine cones so they're not all going in the same direction, and it just gives them like a little bit more dimension and stuff, and it doesn't look so symmetrical, like it's exactly the same. So just keep working it in there until you get all of it in, and then you'll be able to wiggle it around some. So that's what it looks like right now. And then what I like to do is then take these, and I can cut these in sections, and I can glue 1 or 2 pine cones on, or if I don't want to add any more pine cones, I can just take these, cut them, and slide them in. So let me take this, and then because I want to fill in this area over here, I'll take this little short section and kind of just bend it in there and fill in the empty spot. And then I'll do that all around until I have enough of them in there. Okay, so I think I have enough of the berries and stuff in there, so I am just gonna dump some random pine cones and just let them fall where they may in there, just to give it a little more bulk. Just kind of shake it around. You can always take the end of something like this and move it and manipulate it where you want it to go, but I just kind of like to let it randomly fall in there unless they all clump up together. And I like this because I'm just not a real glittery, sparkly kind of person. I really do just love the natural look. So I'm going to put a few more pine cones in here, and then I'm going to show you how I do a jute wrap on the top. Okay, so I just have cut a section of twine. I didn't measure it. I don't bother measuring it. If it's too short, I'll add to it. If it's too long, then I'll just go ahead and cut it. But the first thing I'm going to do is just run a line of hot glue around the base. And then go ahead and attach the string. And hold it there for a second to let it dry. And if you hear snoring in the background, it's either the dogs or my other half in the bedroom, one or the other. They're all snoring. I think all 4 of them are snoring. So, okay, so the twine is here, and then you just keep adding one line at a time until you get it down as far as you want. Now, if you think that this jute is too thick, then you can do a thinner version, which is what I did here. I took this twine and I separated it into 3, or you can buy thinner ones, and then I just glued the thin one because it was a smaller ball. But I honestly like the thicker look. I like the more rough and kind of rusticy look of the thicker twine. So you just keep working your way down and gluing it as you go. And when I get part way down, I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, as you can see, I just went ahead and wrapped that whole length all around the top. I just kind of like how that looks. It's kind of like almost like a little acorn, gives it a little top. But I want to kind of decorate the top of this a little bit, so I'm going to put it here in my little jute holder, and then I'm going to go back to my little berries here, and I'm just going to cut some free. could use absolutely any color, any kind of twine, any kind of ribbon, whatever you want, whatever colors you want. Like I said, I just like this because I am into the rustic. I'm using red as kind of like my pop color in my living room. A lot of my pillow covers and stuff have red in them. So that's what we're doing. Oh, I'm gonna have to go grab that one. That one shot off before one of the dogs eat it. But okay, I have my beads, and if it's in their little holder here, it can't roll away. So I'm just going to randomly put some hot glue and then glue some of these berries down here and there. And if you have a place that the glue has come up kind of thick, you could always put them there, kind of cover up the glue spot. If you don't like the way the glue looks and it bothers you, then you could always put some glitter or something there, and it would just blend in with the glue, and the glitter would kind of look like snow, and you wouldn't even see, really see the hot glue. Like I said, I'm not much of a glitter person, so I don't know if I'm going to go back and do those for myself, but if I give them as gifts, I probably would put a little bit of glitter on top so it looked like snow, just because I think people would probably like that. But living here in Florida, we don't exactly see much in the way of snow and ice, so a little unrealistic. I kind of like to decorate our tree in a realistic way that kind of represents our area, because this is what we're surrounded with. We're surrounded by pine cones and acorns and holly berries. So I'm just going to add a couple of random little mini pine cones to the top. And I think I might kind of clump them together in one spot on this one. Kind of like a rosebud look. Like that. You can see that. And now I'm going to put the top back on and decide how I want to do the strings on the top. Now, one thing I will say is these metal pieces bend so easy. You can see how they bend in, and you just have to kind of get your nail under and get them so they seat properly and seat down in, and I would suggest gluing these on. Okay, and there you have it. I just kind of did a little gathering of them right there in the front and just randomly placed a few around the outside. And then it looks just kind of like they're hanging in there. And I just think they look very cool. All right, and now I'll show you how I do one with moss. Okay, the two that I have here that have moss in them are like this. I just put some moss, I put some of the branches, and this was I kind of was experimenting with putting a dab of hot glue on it and then kind of working it in and putting it in different spots on the side, which if your fingers are long enough or you have a tool that you can get it down in there and attach it, it works really well, and that way you can randomly place them in there. And then I just put some embellishment on top, and then this one right here has moss. And again, I have some embellishment on top. So I have my little jute circle right here, and I have another ball. I'm just going to take the top off. And you could use Spanish moss from your yard. This is just some stuff that I picked up from Hobby Lobby. I just liked how it looked, and it's very soft and fluffy. So I'm just going to take a little bit of the moss and stuff it down in here. And you don't want too much because it does take up a lot of space once it's in there. Now I'm going to just start adding in some of these little mini pine cones and let them go to the bottom. You can put some of the bigger ones and kind of just smush them through. If they're not glued on something, you don't have to worry about them popping loose. Okay, so I have those in there, and you can just wiggle them around till you get them how you like them. And you could leave it like this, or you could add other things like this one. Right here I have some of these red wooden balls. And this one right here, all I did is I took some of the jute and I shredded it and just kind of like bird's nested it and put it all in here. And I just think that looks kind of cool. So now that these are in here like this, I can take either some of these and glue some pine cones to them and slide those down in there, or I can use some of these bigger wooden ones and put those in there. And I think I'm going to use some of the bigger wooden ones and slide them in there. So these kinds of clippers, these are like wire clippers, and those work really well. And I think I actually got these from Walmart. I think it was like a 4-pack of different ones, and these are mine. So you may want to leave the metal tip, the twisty tip on them to do stuff at the top. But if they're just going to go down inside, then clip it off and drop it in there and kind of jiggle it to where you want it to go. And then just put as much stuff inside it as you want. And I have found if you take something like a chopstick, I'm just using the end of this, you can slide it in here and kind of position the pieces where you want them, and just kind of so you can move them around. This moss to me even looks like coral. If you wanted to do some beachy looking ornaments with tiny little shells, you could put some of this moss in there and it would look just like coral in there, and you can smush it down to fit it inside the ball. So I'm going to put just a few more of these wooden balls in there and maybe a couple more pine cones. Okay, now I have my pine cones, my balls, and my moss all down in here, and I've used my little stick to kind of move them around where I want them. And now I have to decide how I want to do this. I think this time I'm going to wrap the bottom with a little bit of twine and then put some decoration around the top. Okay, so I've cut myself again a length of jute, and I'm going to start with just putting some hot glue here to start my circle. I'm just going to kind of coil this. And like I said, I am not a crafter. I'm not a super crafty person, but if I can do this, then like anybody can do this. And then I'll just let this sit for a second and then start working my coil. And again, I'm sorry for the snoring dogs. Alright, I'm just going to keep doing this until I have it up as far as I want it. Okay, so I gave it kind of a base and just did the jute around the bottom. So now I'm gonna put the lid on top, kind of clean up any hot glue that's kind of dangling, and then decide how I want to decorate the top. Okay, so what I have is a piece of the jute that I've separated out, so it's a little bit thinner, and I'm just going to cut this, and then I'm going to put a ring of hot glue around the top. It'll help keep the lid on, and it'll give me something to glue the jute to. Put it back in my little holder here, and then decide what side do I like the best. I think I'll do it this way. Kind of really snug it into that glue there. And then I'm going to come back with a couple of pine cones here at the top. Just a couple little random ones. Let's use a big one. These won't fit through any of the openings, so it would make a good exterior decoration. And then take one of these wooden balls. And put it there. And that's it. That is my ornament. I can cut these or I can add more strings if I want, but that is what it looks like. And you can just get as creative as you want with these. So like this one, I just put some of that twisty berry stuff, the vine, around the top, and added some jingle bells. You could even, if you like sparkle, you could get some of these pom-poms, and I'll just show you what one looks like with these. This isn't really my style, but I have a feeling my daughter would like these, which is why I picked them up. And we'll just put a few of these in one. Just pop the lid off here. We'll just do red and green for now. Keep it somewhat consistent. You know what? Let's add some white too. Red, green, and white is good. And you can even take some of that curly ribbon and go ahead and strip it so that you have little curly cues, and you can shove some of those in there, and you could have curly cue ribbon on the inside if you like that. And there is an ornament for you. Just put the top on, and you could glue some little pom-poms on top. You can glue some curly cue ribbon on the top. And you know what? I think I have pictures of some of the ones from Hobby Lobby with prices of ornaments that look like this, and I will include them here. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. You don't have to be crafty to get creative and to try and make things. I mean, you can see literally how simple that was, and this was probably, you know, under $2. to buy. If you buy one of these big ones at Dollar Tree, those are $1. And then there's enough pom-poms here to do at least 2, maybe 3 ornaments. And you did them yourself. You can get creative. You could match colors so that you could theme it for someone's tree if they happen to like, say, the gators and you wanted to do orange and blue pom-poms, or Seminoles and do garnet and gold pom-poms. You could add a little bird on top of this. They have those little birds at Dollar Tree, which I'm going to go back and look for some because I think those would be super cute, to have one of those little red cardinals perched on top of some of these. So you don't have to be super talented or super crafty to do this. It's simple because I am not crafty. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more cooking videos, cleaning videos, haul videos, definitely subscribe and follow. And if you have any comments, please leave them down below. All right, guys, have a great evening.